Hello, friends, and welcome to Ubuntu Narratives podcast, where we bring you inspiring African stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary acts towards an equal and just world. Through these stories, we hope to inspire and equip you with practical tools to be the change you want to see for equality and justice. This first season of Ubuntu Narratives podcast is called Working Differently and sheds light on disability inclusion at the workplace. Through insightful conversations with experts and individuals with lived experiences, this series explores strategies for fostering a more inclusive work environment, breaking barriers, and promoting equal opportunities for all. I'm your host, Christine Butegwa, and this podcast is brought to you by Jabali Consulting. Our guest today is Agnes Datemwa. She's a Disability Inclusion and GBV Initiative Legal Officer with FIDA Uganda. Agnes, you're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Start by hearing a bit more about who you are and what or who motivated you to become a disability inclusion advocate.
Thank you so much. Like you've mentioned, my name is Datemwa Agnes. I'm a lawyer with FIDA Uganda, work for the Women Association of Women Lawyers, FIDA Uganda in short, which is commonly known for gender justice and gender equality. I'm a feminist lawyer. When you talk about feminism, you look at women with disabilities, girls with disabilities, and persons with disabilities generally, with their different kind of disabilities. Who inspired me to do what I do is I work for an organization called the National Union of Persons with Disabilities. That's NUDIPU. And through that work, through access to justice, through working with different kinds of people, different types of disabilities, I appreciated what they go through. I appreciated what we are doing as people and putting smiles and ensuring at the end of the day, they access justice in any form, in any way, and helping them out in any way that I could. So my CEO then, Esther Chozra, inspired me to do that because she's a person with disabilities. She's a person with visual disability and she's very intelligent and very hardworking.
We have that in common as well. I think for me, my advocacy around disability inclusion also started with NUDIPU a long time ago.
Very interesting.
I think around 2003, around there.
Oh,
How
okay.
many years is that? So I engaged and supported NUDIPU in some work. Through that, it opened my eyes to the marginalization of persons with disability and also that all of us have a role to play in making our communities, our workspaces inclusive. So glad that we have it in common. And NUDIPU is also one of our guests on the Ubuntu Narratives podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, so tell us a bit more about FIDA Uganda and your role as Disability and Inclusion and GBV Initiative Legal Officer. How does FIDA then come in when it comes to disability inclusion?
FIDA Uganda is making 50 years this year. That means we've been here since 1974. I was a women organization for lawyers, both young and old. We are membership, and then we have also mechanisms that we have put in place to ensure that at the end of the day, women and girls and children access justice. The objective is women and children. But then that doesn't mean that we don't work on men. Men to come, and we've helped them and they've been thankful. What we look at, we use strategic litigation to tackle issues that are not under the law, where we petition court or file cases in high court on issues like, for example, cohabitation and property rights. We have that one there. We've had the issue, the case over the divorce case where the grounds were not fair to women and girls, and that was really successful. We petition for law reforms in the different courts also, but then also we have community activists who help us. These are community legal volunteers. They are volunteers who have helped us. They are our ground soldiers. So they tackle the issues down there. If they need our help, we go down and help tackle the issues. But then we strengthen their capacity. We've given them a platform. Some of them are local leaders. Some of them are public speakers. Some of them are being shown on TVs and everywhere because of the good work they're doing. And the other thing that we do, our projects such as Access to Justice is one of our programs. Women responsiveness when it comes to governance, that's women leadership, and then economic justice. We've seen issues of women having businesses, but then they're not getting the money because the patriarch is saying, give the man this money. So through the work that we do as a legal officer, we have a project that is called Disability Inclusion and GBV Initiatives. Through that, we have advocacy on our social media platforms, in different campaigns, radio talk shows. We have legal aid, free legal services for women and girls with disabilities, but also men with disabilities. We have an economic empowerment project. This one comes in because there's a need. There's an economic need. Usually, mothers of children with disabilities are abandoned by their fathers. Some men are like, I can't give birth to a child with disabilities. Then also women with disabilities also have a challenge of being abandoned. So they are fending for these children, yet also them, they have a disability. So we've come out to train them and give them different skills, coaching and mentoring them. At the end of the day, what we want is for them to tap into the different government programs, like the special grants, as women as well as persons with disabilities. And they've formed groups they are in. Also, what we've done talk shows on this. We've strengthened the capacity of our members, because FIDA is a membership organization for all lawyers in Uganda. We've also strengthened the capacity of the board, the judges, the members of parliament, and the staff as well. How are you accommodative? How are you inclusive? How are you disability friendly? When they come to our offices, are they welcomed? Because these are people who shun services because of the stigmatization and the discrimination. So when you're welcoming, they understand that, I'm loved and I'm appreciated. So when you come to FIDA and you mention disability, I think my name comes out first because I specifically handle them. And these clients come out looking out for me because it's me. When they come wherever they've come from and they're looking for one person, everyone knows it's me who handles them. Yeah, so I've come to appreciate the work, and I love the smiles at the end of the day. But
yeah, fabulous. And, that's really important work. I think raising awareness, it all starts with being aware what are our rights. First of all, for persons with disability, for them knowing their rights, and also for the other people in society to also realize what are the rights that persons with disability have. It goes back to the laws. The laws and policies are there to make an enabling environment for people with disability and women with disability, but many of us don't know them. As a legal organization, I think you're the best placed person to tell us this. Give us a quick legal tutorial, if you will, of some of the important provisions around the rights of persons with disability that we have at national and even international level.
At the international level, we've ratified to the International Convention on Persons with Disabilities. And then also we've ratified to the CEDAW. The CEDAW is mainly on discrimination of women. So we've also, and because we've ratified some of these international instruments, you find that they've been implemented or they've been put into our constitution, the 1995 constitution, as it has been amended over time. When you look at our constitution, it's the overall law in Uganda, and therein we start with an article that talks about non-discrimination based on gender, disability, race, among others. It talks about rights of persons with disabilities, talks about rights of people, brings about an aspect of hearing. Sign language is a must. So that's why you're seeing most televisions show sign language at the end. And you see medical law. And for you to broadcast anything, there has to be sign language. Even now in our programming at FIDA Uganda, we ensure there's a sign language interpreter. Wherever we go, there's someone there. That's to be accommodative in nature. Then also you look at the right to education, right to life, right to freedom. All these ones apply to persons with disabilities. But this constitution talks about the parliament coming up with a law of persons with disabilities specifically. That's when we come with the Persons with Disabilities Act, which tackles all their rights, non-discrimination, stigmatization. It talks about how accessibility to information, physical accessibility. We have a law on that. All the buildings have to be accessible. Our accessibility is not ramps, like you put a ramp and that will be it. No. Accessibility is more than ramps. They have to be able, if, for example, this building should have had, for example, a lift for someone to come here. If, for example, this program, maybe I was disabled, it should have been down. You get it? You make it accommodative for this person. You have the Employment Act. What most people don't know, whenever you employ a disabled person, taxes are taken off you. How many number of people are you employing as person with disabilities? Government will look at that and they will take it away. Even if you're employing anyone, as long as they are qualified, you're not supposed to discriminate them because they are disabled. We have the Workers' Compensation Act that one mainly tackles people in factories. Sometimes we do work and then you get a disability. Maybe on your way to work or on your way off work, you may get an accident. You can never know. That compensation comes in. It may be temporary disability, it may be even if safe tackles that. Once you get a disability, you access your money. So the acts are there, the policies are there, even the education policies all mention disability. Chambugo has a specific department for these people. Sign language, visual disability. Most of them are going through Chambugo. And also the education policy provides the schools that specifically handle children with special needs.
Uganda, therefore, has quite an enabling environment for persons with disability. I think the challenge is then implementation of those policies and laws and their awareness among the general public. Coming to our topic of the podcast, disability inclusion in the workplace. That is more of, I guess, labor rights as well. What are some of the labor rights you would encourage the employers to know? And as well as the persons with disabilities themselves, what are labor rights that they should be aware of when they get into the workplace so that they also benefit from a productive life?
The first thing should be the non-discrimination rule. That should be in every organization's human resource manual. The way we have the gender policies nowadays in the different organizations of not discriminating women or men when it comes to employment, when it comes to work, when it comes to salaries, and discrimination of persons with disabilities at the workplace. The stigmatization also should be emphasized. And also coming up with a safeguarding policy in place. How are you safeguarding your person with disabilities who are your employees? The other thing is accessibility. Not only physical, but also information. You've employed someone who can't hear. They need a sign language interpreter. They'll come with an assistant who is their sign language interpreter. That means you have to find ways of ensuring this person is accommodated. This person is paid. The assistant, they usually have the assistants who understand them. You won't get for them anyone. They'll recommend for themselves someone. Because this is the person who knows their moods, who knows what they want, and they can talk. Even in their quietness, they'll be able to communicate. Accessibility also looks at the visually impaired. Braille is now in. Everything that is coming out nowadays has Braille in it. Those guys are very brilliant. They just touch and they'll read the entire policy because God has made us different and that's how special they are. So the other thing about it is make the environment safe for them as people. For example, if it's a wheelchair user, you have to create a way for them to pass. For this wheelchair person, you have to be accommodative in nature. The other thing is the fact that if they are qualified, let the salary be the same as the other people. If there's a promotion, consider them at the end of the day. The other thing you have to look at is sometimes they won't speak out, but if you put things like suggestion boxes, maybe they will be able to speak. They'll be able to tell you what's going on. Then also you have to follow the law. And the fact that when you employ a person with disabilities, treat them like any other person. They hate it when we treat them special. I've seen circumstances where people have been lifted because they are using wheelchair. They are lifted off their wheelchairs. They are taken to another place. They get embarrassed by that. Having been around them, I know that. The ones with short stature, the little persons, they also get offended when you're talking to them and you're standing. Sometimes you have to come a little bit on their level and you talk. Because that makes them feel, you know what, this is nice. This person is treating me as a human being. It's the same right all over. Whatever you do for any ordinary person should also be done with a person with disabilities. So at the end of the day, it's about being inclusive and friendly towards them. Yes, some jokes are good, but then some jokes are bad. Like they come as a bad taste. So yes, that means we have to be sensitive around persons with disabilities. Just treat them as any other human being, but then also you can't name call them. Name calling should be abandoned, like it should not be tolerated. So that means there should be a policy on non-toleration of bullying, discrimination, stigmatization, and there should be penalties therein whenever this happens. Then lastly, you have to follow if they are to get NSSF, if anyone else is getting NSSF, pay what, it should also happen to them. Then I've seen some organizations that have really ensured that these people some have given them cars. special cars. Nowadays, some cars are coming that are special for them. So if it's possible, why not?
Yeah, those are very good measures that an employer can take to ensure that the labor rights of persons with disability are met. You've talked about sensitivity. I want us maybe to dive in there, and safeguarding. Sensitivity, I think the rule of thumb is asking what do they need. You mentioned that some people just carry a person in a wheelchair, and yet they haven't asked, is this what you need? Is this what makes you comfortable? Or even a little person, going down to their level. So what I'm hearing is being sensitive and also asking, not for us in the workplace, not to be afraid to ask what would make the other person comfortable, what would make them feel included, feel seen. I think that's what I'm hearing from you. And maybe to also give us a bit more details. You said on safeguarding that organizations should have safeguarding policies. What should be within that, and what do the safeguarding policies help?
When we go back to the rule of thumb that you mentioned, there are a few things that I can clear out. People with visual disabilities that people can't see. In case you have an employee, just clear the way. These are people who they will come in. For example, she will come in, or he will come in today, come in the next day. God gave them the feel. They will know that I pass here like this. So you have to, whenever they are passing, you have to ensure that wherever they get used to one route. So don't put anything in that route. My boss Esther, when you see her walking, you can't even know that she's blind because she knows her way around office. And they all know where she passes. When she's going where? She's going to her office, or she's going to the ladies. So just clear the way for them. So that means you have to be sensitive in that way, like I mentioned. Then permission. Before you carry this person, ask them for permission. If it's someone who can't hear, maybe you want to bring a sign language interpreter, they don't have anyone, ask them, can I bring someone to help you out? They'll feel the respect. Guidance. If someone maybe can't see, you can guide them. You can be like, can I assist you to your chair, to your table? If they haven't yet studied their environment, then empathy instead of sympathy. Feel sympathetic. For example, when you see someone living with albinism, just feel empathy that, you know what, I need to help this person. I'm supposed to feel pity for them. Because they've also grown out of it. They have a saying of disability is not inability, leaving no one behind. Safeguarding usually entails you safeguarding, coming up with a policy that safeguards your staff, safeguards the community, then also safeguards the beneficiaries, those are the clients that you're handling, for example, the target audience. So that means this policy has a disciplinary committee. It has this disciplinary committee has a chairperson, it has a secretary, it has a number, it has a committee of people can hear these issues. So this one also entails you putting suggestion boxes somewhere, feedback boxes where people can put their feelings. So that if any issue arises, these are anonymous, so confidentiality has to be emphasized at the end of the day. The do no harm principle also has to be emphasized therein. You're not going to harm someone because they've been reported. Any information you get in that meeting is protected. So whoever reports their identity, whatever they've told you has to be kept confident. So that at the end of the day, you encourage others to report. Feedback is very good at the end of the day. Sometimes we don't take it well, but then it improves you as a person, it improves the organization, and people feel secure. Because we spend 75% at our workplaces, and then we spend that 25% at our homes. Yes. So safeguarding is very, very vital for both you, your employees, the beneficiaries, the clients, and the community you're working in. That means the employees, those are persons with disabilities. So you have to be inclusive and accommodative. If they need Braille, avail the Braille. If you've employed someone who needs Braille, avail the Braille. Someone can't hear. If your office is up, for example, you've employed someone who uses a wheelchair, at least let there be a lift for them to come to office so that they feel included at the end of the day. They're able to access the information, they're able to access the physical accessibility is there. And these are the issues that they usually look at. These are their challenges, economic needs, accessibility. There are things they usually shout about. You see, Kampala is very funny. We have roads that have those in-between trails. Someone with a wheelchair can't cross through that. There are laws that tell us that we have to leave wheelchairs, but they never left them. These people have made noise, but nothing has been done. It's the world we are living in but then we have to do better. Yes.
And that brings me to something in terms of what are the barriers that persons with disability face in having equal opportunities to work, but even coming to the workplace also necessitates accessibility, like you're saying, even in the public spaces. So what are some of the barriers that you've found that, hinder persons with disabilities having equal opportunities to the workplace, to employment? And what has FIDA done in providing a solution to some of those barriers, if you can give examples?
Okay. The first one is discrimination. Discrimination comes, and stigmatization comes in forms of, it can come that this person is employed somewhere. That's why most of them are in two different, they go for their own organizations where they see disability. That's why so discrimination happens if this first, let me give you an example. Someone living with albinism, people have not appreciated these people. They'll come to the workplace. I've seen doctors who are living with albinism. There's a doctor who told us a patient refused me from working on them because of my color. And that really hurt. But then at the end of the day, the other doctors failed and it was them to work on this patient. You get? So when you're being discriminated against by maybe the clients who are at workplace, might even be sharing a cup. The cup this person has used, I can't use it. Where they've sat, I can't sit there. You get it? That's discrimination. You're doing activities. For example, there's a movie. You want to go to Acacia. Acacia is up. You have an employee who is disabled. Why would you go to a movie and leave out this person? That means it has to be combined effort. If it's team building, this person has to be included. They love being included. They love being, like any other person. The other bit is accessibility, physical and information. Information is really going to be hard because we are just learning about Braille. We are just learning about sign language interpreters. Nowadays, everyone, there are so many who are doing sign language interpretation, but then affording them. And not everyone with hearing disability will know sign language interpretation. They know gestures. In the communities you go, you find a boy with sign language, with the hearing disability, they will know gestures. They will call someone who knows his gestures. When he says, you know it. There are some which you can tell. So, accessibility, let the office not be up. If it's up, let there be a lift. If there's no lift, let there be a ramp. That's why you see supermarkets, the new supermarkets, or the new buildings are trying their level best to put ramps or put lifts to ensure that these people access offices or access wherever they want to shop from. Non-responsiveness, if this person has complained and no one is responding, trust me, they'll feel frustrated. Yeah, so we have to be responsive, not only to persons disabled, but to every employee, but these people also need to be heard. The non-responsive has an aspect of, I need to be heard, I have a voice. The other thing is sexual harassment. They've been harassed. And sometimes when they are, sexual harassment is usually at the workplace. Sometimes they first go to police. Police will be like, even lucky that you're getting someone who is what? Who is giving you that attention. That's really, really, it's wrong. Then the other thing that has come up is the fact that name calling. Yeah. We used to have that man who sang the song of Koloba. So everyone would be like Koloba. Then there's this butcher man. Those names, they are really discriminatory in nature and they are derogatory. They are against. I understand butcherman represents, he's a musician. It's not a bad name. But when someone is called butcherman, you just know what they mean. If it's not butcherman himself, because butcherman is what? Disabled. Then the other thing, bullying. It should be a non-bullying environment. Why would you bully someone else? What we've done, they report. We usually write calling for mediation. We sit into these meetings. We come up with memorandum of understanding that this shall never happen. We've seen them being dismissed unfairly. And personally, I've helped one. Last year, I helped a lady. She's physically disabled. Get compensation. They had a sit-down strike. So the company encouraged them to go back to work. The rest did. They hadn't gotten their salary for 2 months. She told the HR, I haven't gotten my salary for 2 months. I come here every day. I have children and I'm the father, I'm the mother. What do you want me to do? Let the rest go back. Me, I'm known. She sat down. The rest went back. What the company did, they dismissed her. She came and reported. I went there, talked to them, and they were like, we'll compensate her. It took some time, but I insisted. I was like, you have to pay her 2 months and her benefits and ensure that her NSSF is there. She was paid. She was grateful. She now has a business, tailoring business somewhere in Chikugo. So that bit of dismissal, summary dismissal is very wrong. So we've come in, we've had mediations, and the employers have what? Listen, there are not so many cases, but they are there. The other one also, what happened, the medical bit, like I said, the workers' compensation, factory workers have that, they can fall into fire. They can get burned. The finger can be cut off. That's disability. The leg, the eye, the face. What we've done is sit down with the employers, mediated, we sign a memorandum. This worker was fine, you have to compensate them. And yes, the workers have ensured they've paid medical bills for this worker till they get well. Some company I know paid the rent till this man was well. Now they want to take him for surgery because the machine burnt his entire face. So now they also used to pay him every month. He was seated at home. His salary would come in. It's a he, it's not even a she. So we ensure that at the end of the day, this person is comfortable in whatever form they are. At the end of the day, they are not what? Aggrieved. We've had cases where they are not forthcoming and we have to go to court and represent them. But we usually use mediation because it solves a lot. Court kind of takes time. It's good that we have an industrial court right now that handles labor issues. But then mediation solves a lot. When you sit with someone, you highlight and you solve. And they've come to appreciate it. Others are adamant. So sometimes if the money is less than 10 million, we have the small claims court. Small claims court, we are not needed as lawyers. But if she comes and tells me, I worked for this man and he didn't give me my 2 million. We have a referral book. I enter information, write a referral to Nakawa. Nakawa is the nearest. Or Chira, they have small claims. Lawyers are not needed there. I send her there. They will know this person is from FIDA Uganda. They are claiming for this, and the other person will be what? Summoned. The fact that I'm not needed there, I'll tell her, you know what, I'm not needed there. But if you need any help, the toll free is there, the WhatsApp number is there. You can send. Yeah, we've been inclusive. We have a WhatsApp number for the people with hearing disability. They text. They can't receive calls, so they usually text and tell us. Yeah, so in simple terms, we try to mediate, we try to represent, we try to refer them to small claims. Yes.
So that's the legal route, legal aid support that you provide individuals who may need your help. And you've said mediation is usually the best and simpler and faster course of action instead of going the court way. Beyond the legal aid support that you provide, FIDA also does advocacy. What are some of the advocacy, I guess, approaches that you have taken or that you recommend to enable Uganda to pay more attention to disability inclusion in the workplace specifically?
First of all, we've done radio talk shows. This project is in 3 districts. But now every district where we are in 21 districts. We used to be in 24 districts, but funding, so we are in 21 districts. So every project, every talk show has to be an aspect of disability. It could be employers, it could be casual laborers, it could be anyone. So our message is through that. Then the social medias. Every Wednesday, we talk something about disability, either at the workplace, either in community, their rights. Every Wednesday of every week, we do that. We are going to have a training. We've had trainings for staff, like I said, for the board members. Because these are employers. For the judges, members of parliament, for our membership, which are lawyers with law firms. So we've emphasized inclusion and accommodation for persons with disabilities. We've had trainings on safe programming. How do you come up with safe programming? How do you come up with safe accommodation? Safe accommodation means the accessibility aspect. Then also we've had, we've written letters, like I've said, to different entities, ministries, MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies to carry this message across. But then also we have advocacy, like every week we have to report on advocacy issues we've interfaced in the communities. It can't be employment per se, because it doesn't come out that well usually, but there are some things that these people go through that we forward to our advocacy department for it to look through, and we've gotten to ensure that we've gotten solutions, working with different ministries. organizations like Nodipo, organizations like Albinism Umbrella, organizations like Show Abilities, Uganda, Association of the Blind, of the Deaf, them inviting us and us sitting down. That has also helped. If a matter is complex for them, they refer to us. So public awareness. You're talking to the different employers about it, creating awareness publicly as FIDA Uganda, because we have a name. So that means we are listened to. Even when you call the speaker, when you call the minister, when you call a member of parliament, they will listen. And we've used our judges, our spaces where we are appreciated and where people have listened to us. And the message has been cut across that, yes, you have to, if it's employment, it has to be on equality basis without any discrimination. At the end of the day, the salary and everything has to be the same. The non-tolerance for bullying at the workplace is also something that we've looked at.
Yeah, and like you've said, FIDA is an organization that is reputable and that is listened to. So when you carry this message of disability inclusion, I'm sure that more people will pay attention to how they themselves can also be inclusive. And I think from what you're saying, using your constituencies, the judges, is important because there'll be cases that come to them, and
True.
The way they react to them depends on how sensitive, how non-discriminatory they are, and also employers that you reach out to and persons with disability themselves. So it's really, I guess, heartwarming that FIDA is also leading the way in this area. So as we come to the close of the program, Agnes, what are your parting shots for our listeners?
Let's leave no one behind. Disability comes in forms of, some are seen, some are not. Mental health is a disability, something that we've not appreciated as Ugandans. And it's commonly amongst men. Because society has raised men telling them, don't cry, you're not supposed to whine, you're not supposed to report, you're supposed to be a man. No, we should speak up, we should talk to someone. I know sometimes it's bothering to some people, but if someone doesn't, we used to listen to we used to go to religious leaders back then. I was young, but I used to see people going to religious leaders. Should bring them back. What I'm trying to conclude with is before the census, 12.4% are persons with disabilities, and 1 point something billion a person with disabilities worldwide, 12.4 a person with disabilities in Uganda. So that shows you that disability is all over. Today you're okay, the next day you can be disabled. Yeah, so let's leave no one behind. The stigmatization and the discrimination should be done away with. We're all human beings. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Agnes. You have enlightened us on what the law says around disability and how we as not only employers but the community can do our part in creating disability inclusive workspaces and environments generally. Thank you so much, Agnes. Thank you, friends, for joining today's conversation. Keep the discussion going on social media using the hashtag Ubuntu Narratives. If you have stories to share or insights to contribute, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time.